In this video, we're going to talk about a 100% electric motorcycle from Super Soco. Right from the start, let's be clear, it's not the most powerful machine I've tried, it's not the one that accelerates the hardest or goes the fastest, but in any case, and this is where I want to keep your attention, it's super important, it's the machine with which I've had the best driving sensations by far. So stay tuned until the end of the video to understand why me, who loves speed, who loves power. I must say that I would probably go for this if I were to buy an electric two-wheeler right now. But just before we start, you can like this video and especially subscribe to the YouTube channel without forgetting to activate the notification bell. It's super important, so thanks to all those who will do it. Today we're going to talk about the TC Max from Super Soco. So we're going to start by looking at what it looks like aesthetically, then we'll focus on the technical characteristics, and as usual, I'm going to end up telling you a little bit about what I take away from it after having driven it all weekend. So, aesthetically, we're dealing with a small motorcycle. Quite nice with a real identity that I personally am particularly fond of. The retro look and the fact that it's 100% electric, I find that's really what makes its charm, what gives it such a special identity. The riding position is really perfect, and that's really the first point that struck me when getting on this motorcycle. As you've understood, the TC Max is a 125 motorcycle with a small size that's super maneuverable, and indeed this maneuverability comes from the size of the motorcycle and the placement of the battery, which makes this motorcycle super maneuverable and super efficient. Easy to drive on the handlebars, we have a circular dashboard on which we find the battery charge level in bars and in percentage an estimate of the remaining kilometers, the instantaneous speed, the kilometers traveled, and the selected driving mode in terms of performance. We have a motor that develops 5,000 watts of power and which allows to go up to a maximum speed of 100 kilometers per hour in mode 3, already with mode 1, which allows to go up to 55 kilometers per hour, and which is supposed to be the softest mode we already ride with a certain dynamism, and it's precisely super pleasant in the city like that. This way we can ride dynamically without exceeding 50 kilometers per hour in real speed, so perfect for not getting flashed, for not exceeding the speed but still having dynamism. In terms of acceleration, it accelerates, but not as powerfully as a Silence or a Race 7.7, obviously. If you're looking for power above all in an electric 125, I can advise you to check out the video on the Silence S01. Silence S01 Plus, the Pinkfly, and the Ray 7.7. Here you're going to be served in terms of power. You'll find all these videos in the top right corner in the card, and of course on my YouTube channel. Speaking of mode 3, the mode I rode the most, it's really super enjoyable. There's dynamism. Very honestly, the engine is playful, but it's not exactly stunning either. Really, the most interesting thing about this motorcycle is the riding position, the sensations, the handling of the vehicle, and that, I can assure you, is truly worth the detour. For example, the 0 to 50 is done in 6.8 seconds, while the Silence S01 Plus we're on 2.9 seconds. In reality, that's still sufficient, but if it were less powerful, I'd say that it would still be too soft for a 125 motorcycle, at least to my taste. The TC Max has a large battery housed in the same place as a traditional tank, and it allows for a range of between 70 and 100 kilometers depending on your driving style, whether you take the highway, if you're only in the city, if you always drive at max, or a little bit in eco-driving. This battery is removable, so that's really great on an electric motorcycle, and it's clearly one of the strong points of the TC Max. As you've understood, this machine is more intended for urban and suburban travel. It's a motorcycle with which one can comfortably do 60 to 75 kilometers on a single charge, and this is where it becomes really interesting, it's especially a motorcycle with which one can have fun on the weekends. And honestly, it was a pure delight, this little bike on the small roads near my home. I went a bit on the departmental, a bit of country roads, etc., and really, it was pure happiness. I'll show you the images on the screen, but what a success. It's not bad riding with this little Super Soco, it's really a pure thrill. On the left side of the handlebar, we find the turn signals, the horn, and the controls for the lights. On the right side, of course, there's the throttle, the 3 driving modes with a small sliding button, so that's really perfect. It's simply my favorite controls. And these driving modes, they can of course be changed while driving. In terms of the accessibility of the controls, I would give it a rating of 10 out of 10, because it's really ultra minimalist and easy to use. The seat isn't huge, but it still comfortably accommodates 2 people. And especially it's super comfortable on the other hand, and that's where it becomes ultra interesting, the driving position. It's incredible really. It's nothing like all the other scooters I've tried previously on the channel there. It's nothing like, it's much better, and it's sensations that are so much more immersive and pleasant, because there you are 100% again with the machine, and its sensations so much more pleasant. So that's really a huge advantage on the TC Max that I also really appreciated, is that when you're sitting on the TC Max, you're not too upright. You don't lie down on the bike, so it's really ideal if you have long trips to make. I didn't have any back pain. I really felt good simply being on a bike. I didn't have back pain from pulling myself back, and I didn't have any lumbar pain from resisting. in one way or another, so that's really perfect. The same goes for braking. It's much better than the scooters I've tried, which already brake quite adequately. But then, on the TC Max, you're not ready because the braking is ensured by 140mm discs at the front and the rear, and moreover, we have the combined braking system on this motorcycle, which allows for balancing the braking between the front and rear, making it a particularly interesting bike simply for beginners who have never had a motorcycle before. To continue talking about the comfort of this machine, let's talk about its 17-inch wheels and its suspensions.
At the front, we have a telescopic hydraulic fork, and at the back, we have a swing arm. The suspensions are really excellent, especially the front suspension, which offers excellent damping to smooth out as much as possible the roughness of the road.
And finally, there's no engine braking when you release the throttle, so it mainly helps to avoid jerks between acceleration and deceleration. And me, personally, I much prefer to be in freewheel than to have
a pseudo engine brake that slows us down and recovers very little energy in addition. Then, regarding the trunk, we don't have a trunk so we can move on. Well, in truth, we still have a kind of glove compartment right above the battery that allows storing a phone, keys, but really it's tiny. You're not going to put a bag in there. Two really nice things about this machine is that you can ride without inserting the keys. So, as long as you have the keys on you, alright, it starts and it rolls. Second thing, when the Super Soco TC Max is locked, an alarm is automatically activated, and I was able to test it. Frankly, it doesn't sound very loud, but it's still better than nothing. But unfortunately, when you remove the battery, the alarm is no longer activated. Well, it seems logical when you say it like that, but on some machines we have a second small fixed battery that allows the alarm to always be activated and to locate your machine. And finally, we have the ignition and a side stand very concretely. I really enjoyed this little bike. Really, when I got them, I thought, well, it's time to test a mini 125 bike there. I wasn't very enthusiastic, honestly, but I thought we might as well do the test, and in fact, from the first I really fell head over heels, and actually, I thought to myself that for 5,000 euros, it's really worth taking a closer look at the Super Soco TC Max. On the TC Max, I really had the feeling of riding a motorcycle. Okay, a small 125 motorcycle. A small electric motorcycle, but still a motorcycle. And in the curves, on the small roads, on the ring road, I can tell you it's pure pleasure, a real treat. Once again, I find myself repeating in every video, but remember, it costs €1 per 100 kilometers to ride an electric two-wheeler. So not only is there really a way to enjoy oneself with an electric motorcycle that is somewhat affordable, but in addition, once the motorcycle is purchased, you're going to offset the price of the vehicle by riding mile after mile without paying for gas. There you go. Just you pay €1 per 100 kilometers of electricity. Whereas if you buy a combustion engine motorcycle, well, you're still going to have to pay for gas, repairs, maintenance, and it's much more expensive on a combustion engine motorcycle. Really, the thing to remember from this video is that the value for money, and I would even say the fun-price ratio, is just incredible. It's just unbeatable. Personally, what I loved about the TC Max is that it's a real motorcycle. We're not on a scooter, we have real motorcycle sensations. The riding position is really perfect, and the braking is much more powerful than on a traditional scooter. It's an electric motorcycle that is perfect for getting started. It's light, easy to drive, it has CBS, a super cool look, a power that remains moderate, a maximum speed of 100 kilometers per hour, and a range of 70 to 100 kilometers in mixed driving. In short, if you want a cheap electric motorcycle 125, I can only recommend the TC Max from Super Soco to you. In terms of drawbacks, I'd still say it lacks a bit of punch for my taste, even though I had a lot of fun riding this motorcycle. And the second negative point, there's no storage space, so that's a shame, but then again it's kind of normal, we're on a small electric motorcycle. To conclude, the TC Max positions itself as a high-performance electric motorcycle. Versatile and incredibly pleasant. Accessible. It's a vehicle that's perfect for the ring road, for a bit of highway, for enjoying oneself on little country roads over the weekend. I think there's nothing better in electric at this price. Honestly, if they release a TC Max Plus with the power of a Ray 7.7 and a range of 100 kilometers to 150 kilometers for less than 7,000 euros, personally, I'm buying straight away. But really, the TC Max is truly a joy to ride, and for now, I can tell you it's the best surprise I've had. If the TC Max interests you, you'll of course find the link in the description to order it. Otherwise, if you're planning to buy an electric scooter soon, think about downloading the list of the top 3 electric scooters on the market ranked by price range. It's of course free and you'll find the link in the description. There you go, I hope you liked this video. If so, think about subscribing and hitting like, and we'll see you right away in the next video that will display on the screen, and for the others, see you next Sunday.